welcome back again. During our very first vlog, when we decided to, I suppose, start creating these videos and looking at how we can help our customers survive and thrive during these crazy times, we promised you that we would bring you some expert advice. Okay, so that made me sit down and think, who were the very first people that I turned to when I started putting in place my company's plans for survival during, I suppose, this unusual time in business, okay? Now, like everybody else, I suppose I woke up with a dread and a fear, and one of the very first things that comes to mind is the financial security of your business. How are you going to manage your business moving forward? How are you going to manage your cash? How are you going to manage your resources? What are the very best things that you should put in place to get through this tough time in business? So one of the very first persons I called was Jerry O'Reilly. And Jerry O'Reilly is a partner with a company called Crowe. And Crowe are one of the leading accountancy firms in Ireland, and they're also one of the leading accountancy firms globally. Now, we've known Jerry a long, long time, and what we really like about Jerry, in particular, was during the recession in 2008, when we went to talk to Jerry about putting in place a financial forecast for our business and some planning for our business, Jerry was also very good at pointing out the stuff that was outside the box. Different things to look at, not just financial advice, but very practical advice about how you structure your business, how you might move your business forward, where to look for the opportunities, and different things like that. So what we've decided to do today is we're going to do a Zoom call with Jerry, and we're going to ask him questions that customers have been asking us about their own business. And Jerry's going to talk us through his practical advice for getting through a tough time like this. Now, one of the other things we like about Jerry is his philosophy also. And Jerry's philosophy is that there's an opportunity in everything, I suppose. And Jerry's going to also look today with us that even though this is a very tough time, what is the opportunity for your business? So, a very simple case might be that now when you're designing up your business for the future, that you create a business maybe in your vision, or create a business that you really, really want to have for yourself. And how do you start getting moving on that now, even though, you might feel like your business is going downhill or it's imploding or whatever it might be. But Jerry will give us some good sound advice. It's sound advice that we've taken on board ourselves, that we obviously hope is going to work for ourselves, and we're very happy to share this with you today. So we're going to go over to the Zoom call now, and we look forward to introducing you to Jerry O'Reilly. Jerry is a senior partner with Crowe, and Jerry has some great advice. So we look forward to you now meeting Jerry. Hiya, Jerry. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I gave a brief introduction there to, I suppose, our audience a moment ago about who you are and what you do, and I suppose how we came to working with you as well. So just maybe if you could just from your own point of view, give an introduction of who you are, basically.
All right, thanks, Leo. Look, we're a firm of accountants. It's always been focused on privately owned businesses, particularly on how to grow them. So obviously we're on the reverse side of that coin at the moment, but we always believe in these circumstances that that there's opportunity will arise. So it's easy to look on the downside, and just be in crisis management. But I think it's equally important. The other side of that is to try and look forward to how your business will look after this, after this is over. Because one thing we do know, it is comes to an end. And the first thing, yes, survive. The second thing is how you grow your business.
Okay, that's super. I suppose, look, we've had a lot of questions from customers over the last week and talking to lots of different people who own businesses. And everybody's, I suppose, operating with the same fear, right? And I'm just trying to think back to, when I started watching this all unfold, how I started, preparing my business and myself for moving forward. And probably one of the first phone calls I made was to yourself and, looking for advice. So I suppose if we were to start with the here and now, right now, what's the first thing you need to do as a business owner, at the moment? What advice would you give?
Well, I think it's a steady the ship first of all. I think find out where you're at. I think you're probably going to have to do some analysis of your business to see where you stand today. So be it what you have in stock, who owes you money, but equally, what are your running costs? So it is going to be, controlling your cash is ultimately what makes people survive or not at the end of the day. So there's certainly lots of businesses who have, for instance, just run down their stock to fund losses, which means that when it comes to the potential to upturn their business at a later stage, they don't have that wherewithal. Equally, they may have not paid their suppliers and therefore their credit is cut off. So just when the opportunity arises in the future, they're not able to take it. So right size your business, get all the information you can in terms of how your business is. Look at the various government schemes, particularly the wage subsidy scheme, which I think is starting to kick off now. And I think the clarifications in the last couple of days have been good. Then I suppose look at your other overheads and see how you can control those. There will be things which were always nice to have. Can you cut those back? Can you do negotiations and deals with, for instance, with landlords, et cetera, or with your bank? So if you have a lot of debt repayment going through, banks are very open at this stage to rescheduling that debt. So don't be afraid to ask all these questions, get everybody on board, and get a situation where you're able to manage your income and your outgoing.
Okay.
So that they are in balance.
Okay. There's a lot of conversation going on about, all these government schemes, right? And from what I can gather from talking to a lot of people in the same boat as myself, it was quite difficult to understand it at the start, right? What feedback have you got from others on the government schemes, and do you feel they'll work?
Yeah, I think that the various schemes, what I would say is as they've evolved, the government have been very receptive to how they can develop these schemes to do sort of their fit for purpose. So when the legislation, when it first came out, obviously there was this cap of 350 a week, and you couldn't go above that, you couldn't supplement it. That was rolled back. Some of the legislation that came out last week about how you get to the top-up payments, and how that would operate. For instance, there was some concerns for some people that you almost have to be insolvent in order to be able to avail of it, and that has been rolled back. And now continuously what we're seeing is other little creases in it which are being changed and adopted and so on. And even up until yesterday, there was more changes. For instance, basically a scheme introduced through the local enterprise offices with all the local councils, where they can apply for a €2,500 grant to allow them to come up with a business plan or make a loan application or whatever else. So they just really are pulling out all the stops to allow people to really get their business in the right shape. So
Okay.
principles are there. They're not all worked out. There are creases, but and indeed, if your listeners are having problems, I think really is to use the various organizations there to make sure they're filtered through and see if we can get changes made.
Okay. So I suppose, a large majority of our customer base would be in this small to medium sized category of business. And I'm trying to we've 22 staff here at Sign Digital Materials. I'm looking at some of the things that we did to have our business ready and to correct our business. And one of the things I suppose we learned from the last recession in 2008 was to be kind of very transparent with your information, get all your facts down on paper, and go to the likes of your banks with a plan laid out. Now, it doesn't have to be the most complex thing in the world, but what advice would you give people on creating such a plan, and what do the banks need to see, etc.?
Yeah, well, I think you touched on it there. The transparency is very, very key to all of this. I think, everybody's expecting the pain, but I think, if you're not transparent, when you need the support of those people most, and this is from your landlord, your staff, your suppliers, your customers, whoever else, if there's a sense that, we're all dealing from the top of the deck, in all of these things, I think that's when you get the support, So, yeah, when it comes to the banking, the banks know you don't have all the answers, but I think if you put together a credible proposal, the supports are there, So I'm thinking here, from Microfinance Ireland, there's a 50,000 loan scheme there. And then Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland, there's another one there for, loans up to 1.5 million, of which 500,000 would be unsecured, so, and a relatively low interest rate, payment holidays, a lot of other things there. And indeed, your local bank is, if you don't qualify for those, the local banks as well are quite supportive. But yeah,
Yeah.
nobody has answers. But I mean, if you make assumptions that, look, business is going to be down for 6 months, and then after 6 months, I'm in a position that things will return to normal or start to grow, that I'm then in a position to be able to pay my bills. So that's got to be the general scape of it. And equally, on top of that, if you have some ideas that you want to do to grow your business, then you can put those in the plan as well.
So, like, I think for most businesses, like, their biggest costs, right, and their biggest outgoings, obviously, are staff costs and, supplier relationships or stock and different things like that. But, like, I suppose with staff, like, it's going to be really important that people, have a team of people there, that they're looking after them in some way, and that they're going to be there to help when it bounces back. So, what advice would you give people around cutting staff costs or how to deal with that so, it's fair on everybody?
Yeah, well, I think it will be business by business, like the scheme is there, as the government has said, is to encourage employers to keep that relationship with their employees, so I think that's the starting point of all of this. Now, and then it will be down to the ability to pay, so I mean, I was actually talking to somebody earlier on who, as it happens with their employees, they're all probably coming out with less than 500 a week, relatively casual, and they don't have the wherewithal to top it up. In their case, they can't apply for the scheme because, the employees would get more on the dole, there's 350 a week, than they would at 70% of their current take-home pay. So the scheme isn't going to work for them, But
so what will they do?
In their case, I mean, it's one of those businesses. It is consumer business. They're effectively they're closed, But if you've got some level of activity in your business, let's say you can keep people busy 2 days a week, so rather than say let 60% go, keep everybody on. Your costs now are only going to be 30% of your wage bill. You're not going to have any PRSI. So with a view then that you can keep everybody there, so that when you are restarted, that you can actually, you have the resources and you have the right people doing the right things, and you can continue and develop your business forward. So, that's how I would look at it. Is you put your wage bill. If they were still open, if they were still trading, you'd say, look, keep everybody on, or as near as everybody you can keep on. Top up their wages, get the 70% from government, top it up by 30%. They still have a job. They're better off. The company now has a wage bill of a fraction of what it was. So that would be, an ideal.
Okay.
It's not going to work for everybody, unfortunately.
So, like, there's so many other costs in a business then as well, right? So if you look at direct debits, leases, utilities, all of these different things, I mean, people have direct debits paying out their VAT and their taxes and different stuff, right? I mean, Obviously the best advice is to contact the revenue commissioners and get advice around this. But what other advice have you got around all these other costs in your business? Should you stop paying your direct debits, or do you talk to people first, or what do you do?
I think it's very important to talk to people. The revenue have come out straight up and said, look, file your returns, but you don't necessarily have to pay them unless you have the resources to do it. So, and there won't be any interest and penalties. Now that's obviously just kicking the can down the road. So, what's most important is you don't use whatever resources you free up just to fund losses. You have to try and get your cost base down such that your, whatever resources or reserve you have, will allow you to take a few knocks and stretch your cash flow. So take the revenue. Let's say your January, February VAT return is, for sake of argument, 20,000 euro. So if that 20,000 euro is something you're just going to use to continue on doing what you're doing, then you're going to just be digging a hole for yourself. However, if you want to put that 20,000 aside, such that you can get your business in shape, such that it is, trading near break-even level, then that 20,000 will carry you through that situation where a check doesn't arrive from a customer, or some other knock or bump that you get, or indeed, where you have a new opportunity, a new project that means you have to go and buy some stock. So you have that reserve there, but you're using it for profitable purposes rather than, like I say, shoring up leaky ship. You know.
Okay.
So
like
then equally, sorry, just to cover on that. I mean, as I say, landlords, they're all open. They'd be silly not to. I mean, you will find people who just won't cooperate, but the landlords themselves, if they're not able to cooperate, is because they haven't approached their own banks, in terms of support.
Yeah.
And to be blunt, where else can a landlord go? It's not like there's another Jerry O'Reilly or Leo Maher ready to take up the premises, tomorrow. So fairness here works for everybody, and you can say the same with your bank, your leasing, your loans, whatever it is, credit union, whatever it might be, your pension, all of those things. Forbearance is the key here. So take your pension. If you're paying $500 a month, reduce it to €50 a month. Keep the scheme going. Don't get it paid up. Just keep it ticking over, and then get it back up to that level, and hopefully more in the future.
Okay, and I suppose the thing is as well, right? People had plans in place 3-4 weeks ago, and they were probably thinking about the future, right? So everybody spent the last 3 or 4 weeks in scramble mode, trying to get their affairs in order, trying to get their business in order, whatever they need to do, right? But what's available out there for people who want to keep things moving forward, right? What advice would you give on this? I kind of believe that, you've got to deal with the here and now, but you've also got to be thinking about the future, because whatever way we all look at it, the new beginnings have started, in a sense, right? So we're in the middle of it now. We're not waiting for it to happen. It's happened, so we've got to get on with it. So, what's available out there for small businesses in terms of, because what you have is you've got all these mixed emotions. You still have all this ambition. You still have all these plans for your business, but all of a sudden someone's pulled the rug from underneath you. So what do people do? Or
I think like you got to look to the future. You got to have a vision for where your business is going to go. And if this is not that back in terms of what you thought was pretty sound and so on, so be it. Recalibrate your plan. There's no, get the first, as we said, once you've got your ship steadied, now is the opportunity then to see, okay, how do we go forward? Make sure I'm adding real value to my business here. I'm creating something long-term worthwhile that has a bit of resilience in it. That's easier said than done, but it can often be those simple things, and I don't mean to be playing to you here, Leo, but it may be, what, I need to pivot to, doing something different. I need to be, now is the time to actually, why not buy that machine, that will, get that organized, because you'll never get a better deal from you, I'm sure, Leo, than today, so, but equally, the finance is available. If you take Microfinance Ireland, or you take the leasing companies, or you take banks, all of these schemes are there to allow you to, say it was a machine, go to Microfinance Ireland, get it, on a payment holiday, where, you're buying the machine, but get the payment month, so, and that's the right thing for your business. That's the thing to do, Or, there's other aspects, things that you haven't tried that you should try,
Yeah. No,
get ready for the next stage.
Yeah, it's interesting because, we're seeing all sorts of creativity with, people making face visors, sneeze guards, all these products that didn't exist 3 weeks ago. Yeah. All of a sudden, people are making them, and we're getting inquiries about materials, and it's really interesting. And I suppose one thing I kind of think to myself is that, okay, the COVID-19 world in 3 or 4 months' time, shops will be open again, schools will be open again, but I'm sure they're all going to need requirements around COVID-19 and social distancing, because it's not going to go away in the short term. So there's probably a big opportunity out there for everybody, albeit not where they thought they would be. So I suppose, businesses keeping going so that they can avail of these opportunities is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't stand still. I always feel, that you got to end up at the end of this, have a goal that you're going to be stronger than the competition. That you've outrun the competition. So, there's 3 players in your town. At the end of this, you're the last man standing. So you're in a much stronger position, and you do that through a combination, of being relevant to your customers, being financially strong, and being innovative and supportive.
Okay. It's interesting on the, everything we're hearing about at the moment. Every time the government talk, for example, they're not giving us a lot of information because they don't want to frighten us, right? Just say for argument's sake. So they give us these 2-week blocks. So no one gets too excited and no one gets too depressed, right? So from a business point of view, like say for example, like we've pulled together, I suppose, what is our 6-month strategy, but that can change all the time. What timeline would you say to the customer base to start looking at if they were doing a plan? Should they go month by month, week by week, day by day? You know what I mean?
No, I think you've absolutely got to look forward 6 months and assume the worst, hope for the best, if you like. So I mean, like I would certainly say, expect no improvement for 6 months. Now, do your plan on that basis. But and if it does improve, hey, you're well positioned. You've held on to the resources you have today. So if you have, let's say, an overdraft of 50K unused today, make sure 3 months time, 6 months time, you're just tipping into it, but you're not. You still have those resources available to you at the end of it. So plan on the basis of 6 months. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, it's reality is, if any of these things are eased, that's all that's going to happen. We're not going to see, pubs open, the hotels open, all of those things. I mean, it would be earliest July before anything really material happens, and who knows, towards the end of the year before.
Okay.
So I think you have to do your plan on that basis.
Okay, so so you're in a business, right? You've taken the knife to cost, right? And you've got your cash flow stabilized as much as you can. And you keep talking, you mentioned the word road bumps because we'll all have road bumps along the way, right? Okay, so you've done all that, right? And, I'm trying to just pull back into my own experience, but, what next, right? So, right, you're okay, I suppose as a business owner, right? You're there and you're going, right, I've done everything now the book has told me to do, right? What would you advise all the business owners that are sitting watching you? What do they do next after they've been in crisis mode for 3 weeks now and they've done everything they can do? They've had every conversation they can have, right? And now they're beginning to go, oh, jeez, that was a mad 3 weeks. And then they're coming in and the way they work has changed. And, so we're making suggestions, for example, maybe people can't go visit their customers. So start creating video vlogs and, using WhatsApp and using all these digital tools to keep communicating with your customers, right? Keep dreaming about those things that you wanted to do in the future. Make more contact with your customers than you've ever done before. Use it as an opportunity to digitize your business. Like every business can be digitized. Doesn't matter what you do. I heard this guy talking the other day and he was talking about, dog walkers can't walk dogs anymore. But that doesn't mean they have to go to ground. They can do video conferences with dog owners and tell them how to look after the dogs, how to groom their dogs and do all these things. Now it's a bizarre example, but it's an example. What would Crow or yourself advise? What's next for the customer? What should they go and do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, the example you raised there, interesting. I think absolutely that. I mean, we've all got to find a new way of working. There's no doubt about that, and even within our own organization where we were taking a slower approach to sort of a mobilized workforce. Now it's just a reality, so we're having to, like you, as you say there, manage client relationships, manage delivery of outcomes, manage raising of finance, and manage our staff, so in all of these things are new ways of doing work, so that's the first thing, but I think also, and it will depend where you sit within the industry, that how, when this is over, I suppose, what is your business going to look like, so I think, there's an element which is changing how you behave and how you actually communicate, and it may end up that is much more cost effective. Everybody's more comfortable with it. They're engaging with technology they didn't engage with before. So it's forcing everybody online, basically.
Yeah, but if
we're certainly interested as a business to see what happens.
Yeah, like you're in a service industry, right? Okay, so it's quite an easy thing for you to do. So just if you were to put the sign maker, stroke printer, stroke large format printer hat on for a moment, right? they need to be in a premises to make their signs. They need to go out and deliver their signs and do all these different things. Now, that will all still go on. Promotion and exhibition will still go on, albeit it could be slightly different. But I suppose where I'm trying to come from is that, right, okay, they will go back doing all these things, but there will be a way that they can still communicate with their customers using digital strategy or using websites or using a meeting like this, for example. So you can still contact your customer and do it this way and then go out and deliver whatever has to be delivered, I suppose. But is there any other wisdom there for those guys, would you think? Or
I'm struggling, to be honest. You know, I mean, like, I'll be led by you. I mean, you're always thinking about these things a lot deeper, and you know, in terms of that, and say something we don't have any magic on that particular area.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I do see, you know, in our delivery, absolutely, you know, there's going to be far more of this than there is the past. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to feel, you know, there'd probably be no substitute long run for that sort of personal contact. I do feel, regardless of these type of scenarios, that maybe it's just how business pass. There's a freer communication when you're face to face.
Yeah.
Than there is online, you know. So
100%.
I don't think you get away from that, but it is part of a suite of things that you do, you know. So,
yeah. And I agree with you. I think it will be a whole mixture of things, a whole suite of things. I suppose, you know, the great thing about technology is that while everything's locked down, we're still able to communicate, and that's amazing. So, you know, I think, you know, we can all get something out of that. You know, if I was to bring you back to, say, 2008, right? You know, the old recession, what you call it? We'd all
sort of gone there in the last.
Yeah.
You know?
We'd all just gotten over the recession, and now we're going, oh my God, and we just keep hearing the word, recession, downturn, all these things, and it's probably bringing back horror memories for people, right? Albeit they mightn't have 6 mortgages anymore. That might be the good thing, right? But so I suppose, you know, you don't have a magic wand. No one has a magic wand. But, you know, like, I suppose one of the things I'm kind of thinking about is that, you know, whatever you think might happen isn't going to happen, right? So I'm kind of hanging on to that, right? So there's just no point in blowing up a worst case scenario. So any sort of reassurances there that you could give us or give our customers before you leave or before we finish up the conversation?
Factor is just one of those things. I mean, I'm getting outside my normal area of sort of bean counter and talking about numbers to talking about, you know, I mean, how do we all mentally survive? I mean, that is a key to it. And I think, you know, there's lots of really good advice online, you know, and, you know, I've drawn recently to sort of resilience, which seems to be one of these buzzwords that have come into fashion in the last while, you know, and it's just, and you know, there probably are parts of it, but I mean, as I see it, as was broken down for me, you know, having a vision is important, you know.
Yeah.
Reasoning our way through these things is very important, you know. Being tenacious about whatever your vision is, you know, so hold on to it and just get on with it. You know, be bloody minded to some degree. Collaboration. And the last one is health, you know, like, you know, so just keep that, you know, just, keep healthy, do those things, you know. It's like some of it's mindfulness, some of it's all these things, but these things are coming into their own now. And I think, particularly if you're working from home and you need to reach out to people, it's very important you do those things of just create some level of human contact, albeit online. But you know, resilience, you know, if you think through those things, you know, am I reasoning my way through this, or am I just panicking my way through it? Do I have a vision where I want to go? Am I flexible enough in my approach? You know, can I collaborate with other people? I think it's important. Like we're saying, collaborating with your landlord, your employees, your customers, your suppliers. You know, that's all vital, you know, because I mean, you won't survive without them, you know.
And there's loads
if you shortchange somebody now, it won't be remembered, you know.
No, you're right. And I think what's really interesting is that, like, you know, if you take this collaboration, right, I've already seen loads of examples of where our customers have equipment that is, you know, can be used in lots of different industries, and people are beginning now to cut products for, you know, the HSE, or they're cutting garment material for masks, they're making sneeze guards, all these different things. So, you know, I think that there is loads of opportunities out there if you were to sit down and look at it. I agree with you definitely in terms of, trying to create a vision for what your business stands for and what it looks for. And, I often hear customers saying to us, oh, it's well and good, you're up in Dublin there and, there's loads of opportunity or whatever. But there's great examples all around Ireland of, businesses that are thriving in the most unusual of places. And generally, when you look at them, the owners have this amazing vision for their business. And I think Nevin Maguire's restaurant, for example, is a great example of that, right? Where in a place, it basically where no other restaurant, no other restaurant could survive or thrive the way that has. And so I think it doesn't matter where your business is, if you create that right vision for it, you'll do all right and you'll get through this.
Yeah. Well, look, stabilize the patient, get your cash flow right, and keep a bit of reserve there, and create a vision for the future. That's and by God, take advantage of all the government subsidies and whatever else are there, to keep your business in good shape.
Okay.
Because and this is not just an Irish government thing; it's throughout Europe. Right on, everybody's of a view will do whatever it takes. So there's more to come. In terms of that, they're not going to go the same way as the last recession, which was just cut and all the rest of it. This is very much about, creating supports. So if you've got a viable business, then you should find a way to at least maintain it, but equally take the opportunity to grow it and make it a better business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's going to be all about thinking outside the box for all of us, I think, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And just a matter of interest, because everybody's business is affected, and so it doesn't matter who you are, every business has to think differently about. And what's the accountancy world thinking about? Have you given that any thought? Or
a really good question, Leo. I mean, I think like a lot of people, we've always had ideas about where we want to move our business forward, and I think really this environment has allowed us to accelerate that and given us time to accelerate that. And I think, for instance, one of the areas we have been considering is just what is the impact of cloud accounting on our profession. And there's an awful lot of, say, people who are born on the internet type businesses which are appearing in our industry, but we feel the opportunity for us is going to be about the value added side of this. So certainly helping clients go online, and even sophisticated businesses across multiple locations are now able to put in ERP type systems. They're sort of what would have been out of their league completely a couple of years ago for relatively low money. But what that gives us really, at the end of the day, is the ability to add on services such as business intelligence. And I think a lot of people have heard these buzzwords, but now it's really becoming very important for businesses to understand exactly what's going on in detail within their businesses and be able to analyze that information to be able to respond. We've even brought it into our audit business, where we've brought a lot of that online. We use a package which allows us to communicate with our clients, and it really has produced a huge amount of dividends in terms of that information flow. So really, they're the areas we're working on. Yeah.
What we'll do, Jerry, after this is we'll share your contact details there if anybody wants to reach out and maybe meet you, or virtually meet you. You have a lovely living room there. They can all come over and have a chat with you in your living room.
I don't think this is a bit like those, what do you call them, those sort of at home with such and such.
At home with Jerry.
Privilege to say in your sitting room anyway, Leo. So,
lovely.
But it looked a bit intrusive, all right, or whatever.
Lovely.
Share your living room, whatever.
Okay, so thanks for your time, Jerry. Really appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good luck to everybody.
Good luck. Thanks, Jerry. Bye-bye.